Most people don't realize this, but the moments you feel the most unhappy are not when life is hardest. They're when your mind has nothing meaningful to hold on to. An idle mind doesn't rest, it attacks itself. It replays regrets, it invents fears, it magnifies problems that don't even exist yet. You're not depressed, you're not weak, you're not failing. You're just empty of purpose in that moment. Think of your mind like water. When it flows, it stays clear. When it stops, it begins to rot. That's why happiness isn't found in doing nothing. It's found in staying busy with the right work. Work that builds you, grounds you, and moves your life forward. Today, by telling you 7 powerful truths, I'll show you why the best way to stay happy isn't escaping life. It's staying meaningfully busy inside it. The first key point is that an empty mind doesn't stay empty for long. When there is nothing meaningful occupying your attention, your thoughts don't rest, they start roaming. And they rarely wander toward hope or clarity. They drift toward unfinished conversations, old mistakes, imagined futures, and silent fears. You may be sitting still, but inside, your mind is running in every direction at once. This is why some of the loudest chaos happens in the quietest moments, not because silence is bad, but because an unoccupied mind begins to create noise of its own. Think about the times your thoughts felt the heaviest. It was rarely when you were fully engaged in something important. It was late at night, early in the morning, in between tasks, in moments where nothing demanded your presence. The mind, when left alone without purpose, becomes a storyteller, but not a kind one. It starts connecting dots that don't belong together. It turns small memories into big regrets. It magnifies minor worries into overwhelming threats. Not because they are real, but because the mind is desperate for direction and will invent one if none is even. An idle mind doesn't ask useful questions like, "What can I build today?" It asks dangerous ones like, "What if everything goes wrong?" And once that question appears, it doesn't stop at one answer. It brings 100 more. Suddenly, you're not just tired, you're questioning your worth. You're not just resting, you're reliving moments you wish you could erase. This is how people slowly start, believing they are unhappy with life, when in reality they are just under-engaged with it. Staying busy is not about distraction, it's about protection. When your attention is anchored to something constructive, your thoughts stop attacking you from the inside. A mind with direction feels safe, a mind without direction feels exposed, just like a house with open doors invites the wind, the dust, the noise. An unoccupied mind invites unnecessary mental traffic. Purpose closes those doors, not forcefully, naturally, by giving the mind something better to hold on to. Many people think overthinking is a personality trait. It's not. It's often a lifestyle result. When your days lack structure, your mind tries to compensate by replaying the past and predicting the future. It thinks it's healthy. You prepare, but all it's really doing is exhausting you. Busyness, when done with intention, gently brings the mind back to the present moment. It reminds you that right now, there is something to do. Something real, something grounding. This is why even small tasks can bring unexpected relief. Washing dishes, organizing a drawer, writing a single page. These actions don't solve life's biggest problems, but they quiet the unnecessary noise. They remind the mind that progress exists, that movement is possible, that you are not stuck, even if some answers haven't arrived yet. An occupied mind doesn't spiral because it feels connected to action, not trapped in thought. The mind was never designed to sit idle for too long. It was designed to engage, to focus, to create, to solve. When you delineate that role, it creates its own assignments, and those assignments usually come in the form of worry, self-doubt, and fear. Staying busy gives the mind its rightful job back. It stops it from becoming your enemy and slowly turns it into your ally again. When you fill your day with intention, the mind stops looking for problems to solve within you. It looks outward, It looks forward. It starts cooperating instead of criticizing. And without realizing it, you begin to feel lighter, not because life suddenly became easy, but because your mind finally stopped working against you. The second key point is that negativity grows where time is left unattended. It doesn't barge in loudly, it slips in quietly, almost politely, when there's too much empty space in your day. When nothing meaningful is pulling your attention forward, your mind starts leaning backward, toward comparison, judgment, and quiet dissatisfaction. You don't wake up deciding to be negative. You drift there when your energy has nowhere useful to go. Notice how negativity rarely appears when you are fully absorbed in something that matters to you. When your hands are busy and your focus is sharp, there is no room for bitterness to stretch its legs. It's like trying to hear a whisper in a crowded room. It simply can't compete. But when the room is silent, even the smallest whisper feels loud. An unoccupied mind amplifies what doesn't deserve volume. This is why people who are constantly complaining often have long hours with nothing constructive to hold on to. Their thoughts turn outward, scanning for flaws, mistakes, and reasons why others are ahead. Comparison becomes a habit not because they want to envy, but because their attention has no direction. The mind without a task becomes a critic, and the easiest target for criticism is always someone else's life. Staying busy doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means choosing where your attention lives. When you invest your time into learning something new, be you, yielding a skill or improving one small area of your life, your mind becomes occupied with growth. And a growing mind doesn't waste energy tearing things down. It becomes curious instead of critical, focused instead of frustrated. Negativity feeds on repetition. The same thoughts, the same complaints, the same inner conversations played on loop. Busyness breaks that loop, not by force but by replacement. When your day is filled with meaningful effort, your mind begins to ask different questions. Not why is this happening to me, but what can I do with what I have today? That single shift changes how you experience your entire environment. Think of your attention like sunlight. Wherever it shines, something grows. If you leave it scattered, weeds appear. If you guide it with intention, anything useful takes root. Being busy with purpose directs that sunlight. It doesn't eliminate shadows, but it stops you from staring at them all day. You become aware of challenges without being consumed by them. Negativity also thrives on idle observation. Watching others move forward while you feel stuck can quietly poison your thoughts. But when you are busy building your own path, the progress of others stops feeling threatening. Their success becomes background noise instead of a personal insult. Your focus narrows to what you are creating, not what you are missing. A busy life leaves little space for unnecessary resentment. Not because you are numb, but because you are engaged. You are too involved in becoming to waste energy on bitterness. The mind begins to understand that peace is not found by fixing everything outside, but by giving your inner world something meaningful to work on. The third key point is that action is the quiet architect of emotional balance. Most people believe their emotions control their actions, but in reality, it often works the other way around. When you stay still for too long, your feelings start making decisions on your behalf. Doubt chooses your direction. Fear sets your pace. Hesitation becomes your routine. But the moment you take action, even before you feel ready, something inside begins to settle. Not instantly, not dramatically, but steadily, like water finding its level. There are days when you wake up and everything feels off. No clear reason, no obvious problem, just a heaviness you can't explain. In those moments, waiting to fade, better only deepens the weight. Stillness stretches the discomfort, action compresses it. A single movement, however small, sends a message to your mind that you are not powerless, that you are participating in your own life, not just observing it from the sidelines. Action has a grounding effect. It pulls your attention out of abstract worries and anchors it in the present moment. When your heart and these are engaged, your mind follows. You stop floating between past regrets and future fears and return to what is right in front of you. That return creates emotional stability. Not because problems disappear, but because your mind stops racing ahead of reality. Many people misunderstand motivation. They think it's a feeling that arrives and invites them to move. But motivation is often the result of movement, not the cause. When you act first, energy follows, confidence follows, clarity follows. Waiting for the perfect emotional state is like waiting for the road to flatten before taking a step. It doesn't happen. The path reveals itself only after you start walking. Small actions matter more than dramatic ones. You don't need to change your entire life to change how you feel. You need to shift your momentum. One task completed creates a sense of order. One promise kept builds trust with yourself. These small signals tell your mind that things are under control, even when life feels uncertain. Stability grows from consistency, not intensity. When you stay busy with intentional action, your emotions stop swinging as wildly. You feel less reactive, less fragile. That doesn't mean you become emotionless. It means your feelings no longer dictate your direction. You experience them without being ruled by them. Action gives your inner world a structure to lean on when things feel unstable. Over time, this creates resilience. You learn that even on days when motivation is low, movement is still possible. And each time you choose action over avoidance, your mind learns a new pattern. It learns that discomfort is temporary, but progress leaves a lasting imprint. Emotional balance isn't found in thinking your way out of a storm. It's found by moving steadily through it. The fifth key point is that structure creates peace long before happiness ever shows up. When your day has no shape, your mind is forced to improvise. And improvisation may look creative from the outside, but inside, it feels chaotic. You wake up not knowing what deserves your energy first, so everything competes for attention at once. Thoughts overlap, decisions feel heavier than they should. You're not lazy or confused, you're simply operating without a framework. And the mind doesn't feel safe without one. A day without structure feels like standing in an open field during strong winds. Nothing is technically wrong, but there's no shelter either. Every thought hits you directly. Every emotion feels exposed. Structure acts like walls and a roof. It doesn't trap you, it protects you. When you know what comes next, your nervous system relaxes. You stop bracing for the unknown because the immediate future is already decided. That certainty creates calm, even when life itself remains uncertain. Man, people resist structure because they think it will limit their freedom. But the opposite is true. Lack of structure steals freedom quietly. It forces you to constantly decide, constantly adjust, constantly react. Structure removes unnecessary choices so your energy can be spent where it actually matters. You don't feel controlled, you feel guided. And guidance is deeply comforting when your mind tends to wander toward worry. When you stay busy within a simple structure, your mind stops racing ahead of time. It stays closer to the present moment. Instead of asking, "What should I be doing with my life?" it asks, "What is the next small step?" That shift reduces overwhelm. Big questions exhaust the mind. Small, clear actions steady it. Structure turns an intimidating day into manageable pie. Yes, and peace is often found in manageability. Structure doesn't require perfection. It only requires intention. Even a loose plan is better than none. A few fixed points in your day create rhythm, and rhythm calms the mind the way steady breathing calms the body. You begin to trust the flow of your day. That trust reduces anxiety because your mind no longer feels like it has to stay alert all the time. It can finally rest between tasks. Without structure, emotions tend to dictate behavior. You work when you feel like it, rest when you feel overwhelmed, and avoid what feels uncomfortable. But feelings change constantly. Structure creates consistency even when emotions fluctuate. It gives you something solid to lean on during unstable moments. You don't have to negotiate with your mood all. You simply follow the path you already laid out for yourself. Over time, structure builds a quiet confidence. You start seeing yourself as someone who moves with intention, not impulse. Your days feel fuller, not because they're packed, but because they're aligned. Peace settles in not as a sudden feeling, but as a background presence. It shows up in the way your mind no longer panics about wasted time, in the way you fall asleep, knowing the day had a shape, a direction, and a purpose waiting for you again tomorrow. The sixth key point is that staying busy helps you recover from pain faster. Not because pain disappears, but because it doesn't get the chance to settle in and make itself at home. Pain has a strange habit. When you sit with it too long, it starts to speak for you. It begins to define your days, your energy, even your identity. But when you keep moving with intention, pain is forced to travel with you instead of trapping you in one place. Pain feels heavier when your life becomes smaller. When routines collapse and days lose direction, pain expands to fill the space. It becomes the main event. Every quiet moment turns into a reminder. But when your life stays active, when you have places to be, things to work on, responsibilities to honor, pain has to share the stage. It no longer gets all the attention, and without attention, it weakens. Being busy doesn't mean ignoring what hurts, it means refusing to let hurt become your only focus. You can acknowledge pain and still choose to show up. You can carry sadness and still move forward. Movement sends a message to your mind that says, this moment matters too. That message slowly loosens pain's grip. It reminds you that even in difficult seasons, life is still happening around you. Busy people don't heal because they are stronger. They heal because they stay connected to life. They continue engaging with the world instead of retreating completely into their wounds. That connection acts like fresh air in a closed room. It doesn't erase what happened, but it changes the atmosphere. The mind begins to realize that pain is part of the story, not the whole story. When you stay busy with purpose, pain is processed in motion, not stagnation. Stagnation makes pain echo. Motion softens it. Each task completed, each commitment honored, creates small moments of normalcy. Those moments are powerful. They tell your nervous system that you are safe enough to continue, and safety is where healing begins. Pain often wants you to stop, to pause everything, to withdraw, and sometimes rest is necessary, but prolonged withdrawal gives pain control over your future. Staying gently busy reclaims that control. It says, I may be hurting, but I am still choosing my direction. That choice rebuilds confidence quietly, one step at a time. Over time, you notice something subtle. The pain doesn't disappear, but it no longer dictates your pace. You move with it, not under it. You stop measuring every day by how much it hurts and start measuring it by what you are still able to do. That shift doesn't come from thinking your way out of pain. It comes from staying engaged with life long enough for healing to say, "Tub." The seventh key point is that a busy life leaves no room for regret, not because mistakes won't happen, but because every day is filled with purpose and movement. Regret grows quietly in empty spaces, in moments when nothing is demanded of you and nothing meaningful occupies your hands or mind. It is born in hesitation, in the I should have and maybe later is that pile up silently, but When you are busy building, learning, creating, and contributing, those silent spaces shrink and regret loses its home. Regret often comes from watching life pass by without participation. People spend years waiting for permission to start, for motivation to arrive, for the perfect moment that never comes. And while they wait, life keeps moving. Days, opportunities, relationships, and chances slide quietly into the past, leaving only questions and what ifs. But staying busy with intentional action flips that experience. It doesn't guarantee perfect results, but it guarantees that you were present in your own story, fully engaged and accountable for your own path. Being busy doesn't mean avoiding reflection, it means channeling energy into tangible steps rather than endless rumination. When you work, create, and show up consistently, your mind is too occupied to linger on self-doubt. Instead of asking, "Did I do enough?" you are able to see, "I did what I could today, and that matters." Regret fades not because life was flawless, but because effort and presence outweigh idle longing. People often underestimate how small acts of consistency compound into a lifetime without regret. A single page written, a conversation held, a skill practiced. Essays may seem minor in isolation, but repeated over time, they build a life where silence and hesitation no longer dominate. You end each day with evidence of participation. Even if results are imperfect, the proof of effort silences the inner critic that loves to whisper about lost chances. Regret thrives on inaction because it is a ghost of what could have been. Being busy transforms that ghost eye into your motion. Tasks, responsibilities, and purposeful routines anchor your mind to the present, reminding you that life is not a spectator sport. You may stumble, you may fail, but even those failures are colored with meaning because they occur within an engaged, active life. You become someone who acts, not someone who waits. A busy life also teaches perspective. When you are moving forward, learning, building, helping, or creating, your attention is on contribution, not on comparison. You notice progress, even if small. You see challenges as material to work with rather than chains holding you back. This perspective shrinks the weight of regret because your mind begins measuring life not by what was missed, but by what you chose to engage with every single day. Over time, staying busy rewires how you value time itself. You begin to measure life by effort and presence, not by perfect outcomes or external validation. Regret loses its power because you filled your life with participation, and participation is its own reward. You start sleeping with a quiet confidence that you did not waste your days. Even imperfections feel lighter, because a life lived actively is a life where regret have nowhere to settle. When you look at your life quietly, away from the noise and the rush, you begin to notice a pattern. Happiness does not arrive like a visitor knocking at the door. It grows quietly in the spaces where you are doing, building, and showing up. It is shaped by the moments you choose presence over distraction, contribution over complaint, and motion over stagnation. Each small effort becomes a brick in the foundation of a life that feels steady, whole, and real. There will still be moments of discomfort, uncertainty, and quiet fear. That is part of being human. But when your mind is occupied with purpose, when your hands are busy with meaningful work, those moments do not have the power to paralyze you. They may touch you, but they no longer define you. Why? You start to understand that peace is not the absence of challenges. It is the experience of moving through them with clarity and intention. The truth is, life rarely waits for us to feel ready. Days arrive, people arrive, circumstances arrive, and often without warning. What changes everything is not waiting for perfect conditions, but choosing to engage fully with the moment you have. Busyness, in its truest sense, is not frantic motion, it is deliberate presence. It is the quiet alignment of thought, action, and purpose. And in that alignment, happiness finds a natural home. As you carry this understanding forward, you will notice that your mind softens toward itself. Fear loses its sharp edges. Doubt becomes a guide, not a judge. Even the challenges that once felt like obstacles begin to feel like steps on a path that you are capable of walking. Strength grows quietly, not as a roar, but as a steady pulse, reminding you that you are capable of more than you imagined. And in that steadiness, there is freedom. Freedom from endless comparison, from regret that lingers in idle moments, from the anxiety that comes when the mind is left unoccupied. Freedom that comes from knowing you are engaged, present, and shaping your own life day by day. This is the kind of happiness that is subtle, deep, and lasting. The kind that does not depend on circumstance, but on the way you choose to move through each moment. So let your days be full, not rushed, not chaotic, but rich with intention. Let your mind be occupied with creation. Why? Our hands with meaningful effort, and your heart with a quiet sense of purpose. You will discover that happiness, when cultivated this way, does not need to be chased. It grows naturally, as a reflection of the life you are actively shaping, step by step, moment by moment. And in that quiet rhythm, you will find clarity, you will find strength, you will find the kind of peace that does not fade. Why? The passing of hours or the shifting of seasons. A life lived this way does not need loud affirmation or constant excitement. It is enough. It is steady. It is yours.